guys, what's up? It's Mike Lane from Tattoo.com here with Davey Suicide. What's up, brother? How are you?
How are you? Welcome to my home.
Yes. By the way, we are in Davey's home right now in Hollywood. But listen, we're going to get into something we usually don't do till after the interview. Let's get into the new album, Made from Fire. Can you tell us a little bit about the album, the process, and what the songs meant to you making them?
Well, the record was made while we were in a crazy lawsuit with our former label, and the turbulence of what we were going through we captured it on an album, and it, to me, just signified so much because it was from the start of the lawsuit to actually the end of it, which is the closing track, End of the War. And I just feel like you can tell when artists have gone through something, you can tell when there's conviction there, you can tell when they've lived through it, and you can tell when they've had ghostwriters. And our band has always written our own music and our own lyrics and stuff, and that's one of the things I'm most proud of about us. And Made from Fire has that all streamlined through it.
Right. And for a lot of the people that don't know in this industry, a lot of bands, like he's saying, don't write their own stuff. So the fact that you guys have a hold of that and you guys control that is very admirable. That's a really cool thing, especially in this business. You know, people trying to always change what you're doing. So along with that, you know, what gives Davey his drive? Like, what gets you up in the morning? What gets you to the studio? What gets you up on stage? You know, what are some of your drives in life to pursue your dreams like this?
I think I've always just created art because it was an outlet. It was an escape from things that I had either gone through when I was growing up or whatever. But what drives me is I just wanted to be my own boss. I didn't want to have to go in and work a real job. I mean,
amen to that, by the way.
This is a real job, obviously, but it's a different kind of job where I didn't want to be on such a set schedule.
Right.
And I think when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. That's kind of cliche, but it's easy to get up and do something that you enjoy.
Right. So going along with that, so some of your influences, you know, you guys have that whole industrial rock, almost like a glitter rock thing too. Who are some of the bands that you looked up to when you were a little bit younger?
I mean, obviously there was the Guns N' Roses was my favorite bands, Pantera. But as far as like artists, I obviously love Manson. I love Rob Zombie, and Eminem. Three of my tattoos it's Axl Rose, Manson, and Eminem.
Nice.
I just felt like they did the things that they wanted to do their way, and the industry kind of changed and conformed to them, and I love that about them.
That's cool. So was there, you know, every artist, I always like to ask them about a show that they saw, you know, especially as a kid, something just so impactful. It's like, I want to do that. Was there a particular show that you saw when you were younger that you're like, that's it?
No, there wasn't a show, but I would go by, like in 7th grade, I would walk by the band room, and I would always stop and watch them, and I just loved just the music. I just gravitated toward that. So it wasn't a particular moment where I knew I had to do that or I wanted to take this guy's place, or it was more of just knowing that music was always a place I could go when I felt like I was alone.
Right. So you guys just came off of a grueling tour with Dope. How was that?
Seeing us in the proper aesthetic was really inspiring because we've done a lot of tours where we weren't with bands that really fit our genre.
Right.
And when you're in the right environment, I tell you, it just grows. Yeah. And it grew fast. And it was a great tour for us. And very grateful that Edsel pushed to get us on that tour.
Yeah. So going along with that, you guys are about to go on a tour with the one and only Doyle from the Misfits. So are you excited about that? First of all, have you met the guy since?
No, I don't really know a whole lot about Doyle. Our bass player is humongous Misfits fan, so this is like a dream come true for Derek.
Right.
And obviously, like, you're in the scene, the world gets really small, and so we've known about him for a while, and obviously everyone knows who the Misfits are. So I'm excited. I think that their fans are extremely cultish, and they've been along for the ride with them for so long that it'll be a good challenge for us to get in front of his audience and win them over.
That's true. I mean, being a huge Misfits fan myself, I'm excited for you guys. That's going to be really cool. And yeah, their fan base, I mean, if you get in with them, you know, like bands like Suicidal with that cult fan base like you're talking about, they're going to be with you forever. So good luck with that. But listen, the reason why we're here, the man's tattoos. So walk us through some of your tattoos and tell us a little bit about them and why you got them. So guys, the reason why we're here, the man's ink. So Davey, can you walk us through some of your tattoos and tell us the stories behind them?
This right here is kind of where all my three favorite singers are. It's Axl Rose, Eminem, he needs a little touch up, but and then there's Manson. This Route 66 signifies when I moved from the East Coast to LA. And the Gypsy is just kind of like, I kind of winged it. I didn't really know where I was going to live. In Life and Death is an album by The Used that I love. Let's see. This Maryland is Killers Never Die, is a clothing line that I started about 8 years ago. And the X's over the eyes are what I used to do to all of them because I didn't want to have to deal with copyright infringement. And so that's what one of the earlier designs was. Edward Scissorhands is a character that I relate to.
Fantastic movie, by the way.
Kind of always felt like I stuck out in the world. This is where I'm from the East Coast. So this is the state that I was born. Chicago Bears fan. My parents were divorced, so I got the mom and dad together. They've been separated since I was 2. So I'll put them in a tattoo together because I actually never knew what life was like when they were together. This eagle is for my brother. He went to the Air Force. Guns N' Roses back there, obviously.
Nice.
Into them, microphone, I think. And then this is the girlfriend in Maryland that I broke up with that kind of...
Yeah.
She owns real estate. On my back, the Cross Your Heart, obviously, is the band logo, so I got that in the middle. And then Suicide was done by my friend Megan Massacre, and she does a lot of tattoo shows and stuff, but she did that before she kind of blew up, and I've always admired her because she stayed extremely humble through all of her fame and everything.
That's really cool. So, Davey, I wanted to ask you, what was the first tattoo that you ever got, and is there a story behind that?
It was this. This was the first like real tattoo I got.
Well, that's the picture that.
Yeah, that was the heart. But on my lower back was where I got a cover up. So that was my first like high school band.
Okay, what was that?
It was an igloo, and
Okay.
yeah, and it was just one of those things like, why did I do it? But,
Yeah.
And then I covered it up. So I kind of wish I still had it in hindsight because it would have been a cool story to have.
Yeah.
But when I first started getting tattoos, I never emphasized the fact that I could design them myself. I kind of always let the artist do it. And then it was when I started to bring in my designs to the artist that I realized he started asking me questions like, hey, why have you ever thought about tattooing? And that's what parlayed me into learning how to tattoo.
That's really cool. I mean, you know, it's funny, you know, because I always say tattoos are like songs. You know, they really tell an awesome story. And as we can see, you know, this is your history on your body. Are there any artists that you want to work with, or you want to scream at them through the camera and say, hey, tattoo me?
I don't really seek my artists out, to be honest. Like, and it's been a minute since I've gotten tattooed. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I love Paul Acker. I met him. I had dinner with him before, and I think he's great. His style's not really what I would really want on me, per se, even though he's fantastic. But I would like Megan to finish my back. And so I always bug her.
So Megan, finish his back and we will film it, okay? There's the exclusive right there.
It's, our first album, and it's from a song called Sick Suicide. And my ex-girlfriend Kelly actually tattooed it. She had learned from Nico Hurtado. And,
Cool.
Yeah, so it was her first tattoo that she'd done in like 4 or 5 years, but it was a cool thing to take home. Then we have on my leg. This is actually from the same song, but that song, Sick Suicide, on the first record just means a lot to me. It takes a tragedy to leave a legacy, and it's just kind of about how a lot of times people aren't appreciated until it's too late, and I've always thought that was an interesting dynamic in entertainment. This one,
We are getting down and dirty, people.
And I did these myself. This this is 11/11, and I did that on myself at 11 o'clock on 11/11/11.
That's really cool.
So if there's ever a cheesy thing in the world, that's it.
Hey.
But yeah, it's awesome. Kind of the one thing I've always kind of subscribed to is the 11/11 wish on 11/11. So
that's really cool.
yeah, man. There you go.
Well, so Davey, I wanted to ask you a question. Unfortunately, sometimes having tattoos and having an eccentric look, sometimes people marginalize you. Do you feel any kind of way you get looked at differently, and why do you think that is in our society?
Well, we've been trained to see things as normal or weird or avant-garde or whatever. So I think that these stereotypes have been something that the schools have taught us. Its parents have taught us. And it's funny because I've gotten in conversations with people about people saying that I have white privilege or a lot, but I've had my dread since I was in high school. And I've never really been looked at normal because I've never dressed to like the status quo. So I've never felt what that would feel like. On the flip side of it, I've always gotten looks, so I don't know. I don't even acknowledge it anymore. It just doesn't seem. If someone's with me and they're like, "Oh, dude, you see the way they look to you?" I'm like, "No, I don't even notice it." You know what I mean? But it definitely happens, and it definitely you definitely get treated differently. And when you go into a store and you want to buy something, they probably assume that you don't have money or that you're not successful, and that's fine. I really don't care what they think that I am, because I can hold down what I am. But I definitely think it exists. I definitely think stereotyping exists, and I think it's a function of what teachers teach kids. And as long as they continue to teach people that they're all different kinds of people instead of we are all people, then it's going to be that way.
And you know what, you said something earlier about you don't even notice. I think that's a beautiful thing for everyone out there, the young kids out there that are different from the status quo. Love yourself from within, and that's all that matters, you know? And you won't even recognize anyone trying to judge you or trying to put a label on you because there are no labels. So going along with that, what would you tell those kids that are watching you and looking up to you, or someone that's thinking about getting a tattoo or thinking about getting into music? Is there any advice you would give them?
Don't let fear guide your future. I think there's always a way. In the darkest of situations, there's always a way out. So if it's something that you want, at least try to make sure it makes sense for that time period, because even if you grow out of that, it'll always be like, oh, this is when I felt this way.
Right.
That's the only thing I would suggest. But don't let fear drive your life.
Yeah. That's true. You hear that, kids? No fear. So for everyone out there and all your new fans to come, how can people get a hold of you? Is there anything you want to tell your fans out there?
Davey Suicide on all social medias. And, I think it's great that our new record charted on Billboard, being an independent artist. We had a lot of people telling us not to fight that label, and I'm glad we didn't listen. Yeah. And I'm glad it worked out. And it just shows you that real music is there, and the fans haven't gone anywhere. They just need to be excited again, and hopefully we're bringing that to them.
That's true. So guys, get out there. Davey's going to be on the road with Doyle. Buy a shirt. Please buy a CD. They still exist out there. And for Tattoo.com, I am Mike Lane, here with the one and only Davey Suicide. Thanks a lot, brother, for your time.
Thank you.